The new top tier deck Kewl is here, and I'm going to show you how to beat it. Hello guys, and welcome back to another cold episode. On today's episode, we are taking a look at two different decks that are used to counter in two different ways what Kewl is doing. So first and foremost, K9. If your opponent wants to utilize a whole bunch of hand traps, why not punish them for utilizing hand traps? So here's what we are playing. We're playing the K9s here. This, I believe, is Totsuku's Duelist Cup winning deck list. I believe it's card for card. I could be mistaken, but I think it's card for card. Anyway, the point is that the K9 cards happen to interact very well against hand traps, kind of punishing the opponent for utilizing hand traps. So what you can do is instead just utilize the best deck, or any sort of K9 deck, K9 Crystron, K9 Fiendsmith, K9 Mitsu, K9 anything. Just do K9 stuff, and then basically punish the opponent for interacting using the hand and grave. Kewl is very good because they utilize so many interactions on the opponent's turn via hand traps, and utilizing the hand traps as like extension as well. It makes the deck fairly consistent without needing too many names, right? Now, you can just punish them for doing so by going into Ripper, by going into Jax, by going into the myriad of other options available to you to kind of shut them down, right? That is, generally speaking, what you want to do. So let's hop into the replay and show you how this deck performed. Alrighty, here we are going first, and you can already see that our hand is pretty solid, but it's also just the Vanquish Roll cards. And this is one of the things that also makes this deck in particular very useful, is the simple fact that the Vanquish Roll cards also pair very well against the Kewl cards. Things like Holly Sue, Raisin, etc. are just powerful cards inherently, and you also get to play on the opponent's turn due to Holly Sue. So we're going to add back here the Off of the Rock, and out comes Clip. Cool. They're going to go for the Clip here. They're going to go into Crackle, which is very funny. Crackle's like... this card is heavily overrated. Here's the thing. I think a lot of people think that this card just banishes. It doesn't. It banishes until the end phase. It's not a good card. It rarely does stuff. The idea is you use it on the opponent's turn to banish a card from their extra deck in order to kind of cut them off of that for that turn, right? So it can be useful, but it also requires you to have banished all of the actual names, right? Like, you kind of have to banish all of their options and things that they're not going to go into on your turn. So, like, here, it really doesn't matter. Anyway. Regardless, my opponent is going to go into the Crackle and banish a bunch of cards. So they banished the Werewolf, and then they happen to snipe my SP, but Werewolf just comes back, so... oops. Anyway, now they get to play the turn. They're going to go for Rotary into Q. They're going to go for the Q effect. I'm just going to Ash that. I don't want them getting the advantage off of Q. And then I am going to special summon out the Raisin. Raisin is going to grab up a Dark, and then go for the Raisin effect to nuke the Q. And then they're going to go to combat, walk over my Raisin. Like, yeah, that's fine. There's not really anything I can do about that. We're going to go for the Holly Sue. We're going to special summon out the Holly Sue, and then I'm going to steal their Rotary, and then they had the Field Spell. Tragic! Out comes Rekko. They're also going to then Reborn this guy and banish too. Sure. Out comes Mix. They're going to then normal summon the Mix. Mix effect is going to grab up the Rotary, and at this point they have a ton of different options available to them. They go for the Zalin. They're going to pop my... what's her bucket? I just let that go because the Zalin would have negated it, so I just don't interact with that. They're going to search out two Synchros. I'm like, okay, sure. They're going to go for the Kewl Clip, or the Clip. They're going to go Loudness War, and then activate the effects in order to bounce. They bounce. Okay, here's the thing. I understand, technically speaking, why you would want to bounce the Rotary, but they absolutely positively should have bounced Rock. I don't know why they didn't. This is a really stupid play, and it ends up killing them, but yeah, they absolutely should have bounced Rock. I understand, like, oh, but like I want the Rotary in hand for follow-up plays or what have you, but the Rotary would go back to their field, which would actually be better, because then they could use the card in hand as synchro material instead that they would search off of the quick play. So I don't know what this play was. This was like a really silly play. They should have just bounced the Rock. Anyway, Typhon and Zeus come back. And we draw for turn. It's Yokel. Yokel's actually a pretty good draw here, because now we can go Rock the Vanquisher, add back the Holly Sue. By the way, they could have immediately negated the with the Zalin, the Rock, by flipping up their quick play. They elect not to, so that's fine. They're going to go and bounce the Raisin. I'm like, that's fine. We're going to grab the Xiaolong. And my opponent just concedes there. Here's the thing. They know about Holly Sue. They know about Heavy Burger. They know about Yokel here, and literally I can just go Holly Sue, reveal, special summon, and then special summon the Xiaolong, regardless of whether or not they activate the Zaylin, or they go into the Synchro, or anything else of that nature. It doesn't matter. They don't really have anything, and I get to do the full Vanquishal line anyway. I still have access to Holly Sue. I still have access to all of that stuff. Yeah, I get as to why they surrendered, but yeah, we also had Jokel in hand to really heavily punish them. So I understand the surrender there. Good game. All right, and the second deck that I have here is Malice. Yeah, here's the thing. Malice does something unlike K9, which is instead of punishing the hand traps, you are just playing through them, kind of not caring about a lot of the hand traps. A lot of the hand traps that people are playing are things like Ash, Ghost Bell, Veilers. I play Ghost Ogre. I think Ghost Ogre is pretty good. But overall, lots of tuners, right? The tuner monsters are not necessarily all that big of a deal. Also, a lot of people are playing Droll right now because it counters Cool Tune. So a lot of people are playing Droll in general, and this deck just does not care about Droll, like, at all. So with that being said, the only cards that you really care about are cards that are not necessarily always played. Things like Foolos, right? Everyone plays Maxi, but that's a card you also care about. However, with that being said, what Malice does specifically well against Cool Tune, or against the idea of Cool Tune, is that it plays into hand traps very well, kind of not caring too much. And generally speaking, a lot of the pushes that this deck has are just so powerful that the opponent can't really fully stop them, right? Not to mention, a lot of the interactions that Cool Tune has, Malice doesn't really care too much about, right? Like, they don't really care too much about a single Omni negation when all of your cards, like, activate and banish, or activate, you know, in hand, or something of that nature, or could dodge, or what have you, right? So there's a bunch of things where it's just like, oh yeah, like, RS kind of doesn't do anything. The bounce does matter. You know, there's things here and there, you know, popping a monster, popping a spell trap can matter, right? But it's the fact that your combo is just significantly more powerful, and your end boards are just leagues ahead of what Cool Tune can do. And so generally speaking, if you play into the hand traps, you just kind of push through it, make a significantly more powerful end board than Cool Tune can push through, and then just kill them off of that, right? That's the general idea. However, one of the other advantages that is specific to not just this deck, but a lot of really powerful decks right now, is Impulse. Impulse is very good against Cool Tune for several reasons. One, if they are to actually interact with you, oftentimes they need to special summon a guy, right? And Impulse basically shuts all of that down. It also locks down a lot of their starters. Q, the quick play, I guess Rotary it doesn't, but like Q in particular and the quick play, which are both very important to the combo, get stopped by Impulse, which is pretty nice. And then on top of that, you still have access to, you know, the Malice combo, and even, you know, the Radiant Typhoons are very good in this as well. So there's a lot of stuff like that that just make this deck a little bit better into the very hand trap heavy deck that is Cool Tune. Alrighty, so here we are actually going second with, I mean, Maxi's pretty good. But this is one of the things that I'll show you, like, the Cool Tune interactions aren't actually all that good against Malice. So they're going to basically do their entire combo. They're going to end on pretty much everything, including at least an unknown, I believe. But they basically get to do everything, and we're still going to be able to push through it and more or less kill them. So there you go. I will tell you, this is actually a time limit win, but I'll show you why I basically still win the game, regardless of whether or not they timed out, simply due to the fact that, well, you'll see. So again, they're going to do their whole line. They're going to go through everything. They even go for the Crackle here. Again, I think people are heavily overestimating what this card does. So yeah, they banish the Splash Mage, which is fine. I guess it gives you information, which is pretty cool. But we're going to go for the March Hare. I guess they already had information, so I don't know why they did this. We're going to go for the March Hare just to summon the March Hare here. We draw into Dormouse, which is a phenomenal draw, so cool. We're going to go for the Chessy Cat here. Immediately, they go for the Cool Tune Synchro. They're going to activate the effect. They're going to go for the Q. They're going to activate its effect in order to go for a Remix. Or not activate, but the Synchro with it. The Synchro Mix and the Q, they're going to reveal some cards. Cool. Outcomes Remix. Remix is going to add the Ash Blossom. Hey, that's pretty good. And then go into the Recco. Recco is going to go into RS. I'm like, sure, that's fine. We're going to go into Link Decoder here. Activate the effect of the backup. Special summon it. Activate its effect. Outcomes Ash. Sure, happens. Now we can normal summon the Dormouse. Outcomes their Clip. They're like, no, no, no. Outcomes Loudness, or we're going to bounce your Dormouse. Now, again, the thing is, I already have another March Hare in hand, which is why we used it earlier, just to get that extra die on field. So, yeah, we still have the ability to do this here. We're going to go for the SP here. We're going to target the Loudness, or they're going to activate the effect, and I'm going to attempt to tag out here. Sure. Now we go for the March Hare. March Hare for Dormouse. Dormouse effect is going to activate. They're going to go for the RS. But here's the thing. Even if they negate, I still have the ability to go Splash Mage. Splash Mage, bring back a guy. Go into, what's her bucket? The name that I cannot remember off the top of my head right now. What am I thinking of? Oh my gosh. White Binder. White Binder can banish a whole bunch, as well as, give me access to one of the trap cards. I could go for an MTP, banish, or I could go TB11 to summon a guy, reborn, and kind of go from there. So it's not like I'm just dead in the water or anything of that nature. We also can go Access Code Talker and remove everything from their field, and now they are on nothing, right? So it's not like I'm just dead in the water, right? So, all in all, while they do lose to time, I'm pretty sure I'm actually in a commanding position there, right? Because of Splash Mage, because of the myriad of other options available to me. So, all in all, yeah, just who cares about your interactions? Again, they interacted with me a whole bunch there, and I did draw a very, very good hand, but they got to do everything. Regardless of the quality of my engine, I saw like no non-engine, regardless of the quality of my engine, they should have been able to beat me there. But Malice has a really, really powerful engine that can push through quite a lot, so there you go. That's how the deck generally works. All right, now that we have seen how to beat the deck, let me real quick just explain Kewl Toon. Here's the thing. Kewl Toon is missing some very key components. Phydraulis and Synchro Emergency. Okay, Phydraulis is one of the craziest cards for any Synchro deck. Basically, it gives you multiple points of interaction if the opponent does a thing, just by revealing several Synchro monsters from your extra deck. So, when your opponent activates a monster effect on the field, you can reveal this card in your hand and up to 5 Synchro monsters in your extra deck, and then apply these effects based on the total number of cards revealed. So basically what happens is you reveal this card and then 5 Synchro monsters from your extra deck, and then you special summon this card, you send one of the revealed Synchros to the grave. So this could be Packbit, this could be Malong, this could be the Adagnister guy, this could be a myriad of other cards that give you the ability to basically interact in an additional way, right? Like Packbit being able to put a card into the back row, Malong being able to bounce, etc. So basically you're getting an additional point of interaction by sending a card. You could also even send Herald of Arclight, which could get you something like Habakiri. Though that's not a great idea, but you could. And then you also get to destroy a monster your opponent controls, right? Now, due to the way that this is worded, you also get to pop on like activation, right? Your opponent does a thing, and then you go, cool, summon the guy, pop the guy, right? So if they have something like, for example, Malulu, right? They go Malulu, normal summon, activate the effect. In order to fusion summon, you go Phydraulis, special summon the guy, pop the Malulu. Now they don't have the Malulu to sync or to fusion with, right? That's something that you could do. There's a bunch of other things that you could do as well to potentially slow down the opponent, right? You could pop a Dormouse against Malice, and the myriad of other things, right? But basically, this also means that you are trading up generally quite substantially, right? You get to, you know, potentially bounce with Malong or put a card into the back row with Packbit or what have you, and then also pop another card. So if they have multiple cards on field, you basically get to reset their field, which is very powerful, right? Let's say they go, you know, let's say it's Yummy. They go for the Link 1 and another Yummy name, and you go, cool. You use your field, you know, you use your field spell, you use your Link 1. Here's this guy. I now get to nuke the field. Right? Like, oh, you summon a guy that did a thing. Cool, now I get to nuke the field. Right? And there's not really any response that they could have to this, because if they were to synchro off, cool, I just destroy the guy anyway. It's not really that big of a deal, right? So, very, very powerful card. Not only that, but they also have Synchro Emergency, which says, If only your opponent controls a monster, you can activate this card from your hand. You can special summon a monster from your hand, negating its effects. Then, if your opponent controls a monster, special summon from the extra deck, you can special summon a Synchron monster from your deck. However, notably what this does is it also allows you to banish the card and synchro summon a synchro monster as well. And these are not mutually exclusive. So what you do is you activate the effects from hand, you special summon a Kewl tune, you then banish the card from the grave, and then you special summon a Kewl tune synchro, utilizing the Kewl tune in your hand, or on your field, right? And then you can trigger the Kewl tune effects, or whatever it may be. It's just another layer of interaction that the deck gets. This one's not nearly as good as Phydraulis, but it is something else that the deck does, and notably it is a trap card that also allows you the ability to actually play the game. This paired with Phydraulis basically makes it so that you play the game a significant amount on the opponent's turn, right? Not just with hand traps, but you actually start to play the game, right? You get options to do your combo through these cards. Notably, you will notice that Phydraulis is a tuner as well. So yeah, you can summon it even under the locks of the Kewl tunes. It's very powerful. Now, if we actually look at the metagame breakdown, we can see that it's not even the best deck in the OCG, even with these cards. So, Kewl tune, while it is very good, I don't necessarily think you need to be too concerned about it. And quite frankly, if we look at the OCG ban list, I'm not going to do that right now, but if you do look at the OCG ban list, you will see that decks like Draco Tail, Vanquish Soul, and what's the other one? Yummy are significantly nerfed, right? A lot of these decks are not nearly as powerful. Let me see if I can find Yummy on this. Yeah, Yummy's like the 4th, or I don't know. It's far down on the list. 7th, 8th best deck. But the thing is, it's not exactly a dominant deck, right? It's not like it's dominating the OCG. It's okay. It's doing well, but I don't think it's something to necessarily worry about. It's just another piece of the pie within a fleshed out metagame. So all in all, those are my thoughts on Kewl tune and generally how to stop it. Hopefully this helped you if you were having trouble beating this deck. Hopefully this gives you some ideas as to what to look forward to with Kewl tune as well. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. If this was helpful, let me know down below. And remember to always stay frosty. Bye-bye.